Welcome to this week's edition of Red and Black Sport. Well, 6 o'clock last night, we were treated to a bit of champagne rugby. There's no two ways about it. Well done to the Crusaders. Bogey side to play over there, the Reds at Suncorp. Beautiful stadium and a beautiful day as well, wasn't it? First half, down by one. I don't know that you really actually got the feeling then that they were going to explode, but the Crusaders certainly did. Only wee niggle is that we gave them the fourth try, which annoys me. Who knows in the final wash, of course, what may happen, because bonus points may well decide a lot of it. Well, the high-flying Sharks come here next Saturday, and that will be a cracker. I bet you it's a sellout at AMI. I'll ask the General Manager of Community Rugby if he knows if it's sold out yet, but they're a funny team, the Crusaders, aren't they? We all get in the depths of despair for about the first 3 weeks, and then they come out and they play their socks off. So Luke Romano, deep sympathy for that boy, mate. He's just made his way back, and he's a very, very good footballer. Luke Whitelock probably had his best game ever in a Crusader jersey, I would think. And Sam Whitelock, well, the man's just bulletproof, isn't he? And I thought some of the back play was extraordinarily good. Lovely, isn't it, to see the sun on their back and a dry ball, and they can really have a bit of a go. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. So that was probably the highlight of my weekend, I'd have to say. But lovely time, 6 o'clock on a Sunday night, isn't it? Just sit back and enjoy it. Someone who would have got a real bit of pleasure out of that, I'll bet you, is Tim Gilkison. Tim, you enjoyed last night?
Yeah, I did, Pete.
Wished you were there?
Oh, absolutely, of course. It was a game to be present at, really, with the way they played. I think it was, good to see the Crusaders finding their straps at this point in the season. Yeah. On the way to playoffs. So
they look a real threat now, don't they, if they can maintain that? I think they look as though they believe in themselves. Probably the road trip to Africa was the saviour for them.
I think so, yeah. They certainly, Toddy's made that point. They certainly pulled together as a team, and they've really started to fire now, and I think long may it continue.
From a fan's point of view, we'd probably like them to hit their straps a bit earlier.
Well, indeed. Seems to be our bogey at the moment.
It does. Now, you do have an involvement with the Crusaders, don't you, on match day? Tell us a little bit about that. I see you racing up and down the side.
Oh, yes. I match manage those games, our home Super Rugby games. So
is that quite taxing or not? I don't know what's involved.
Oh, a lot of it's in the preparation leading up to the teams arriving. So we work with the teams to ensure all the arrangements in place when they're here. And then on game day, just making sure that all the on-field aspects of the game are done according to plan.
How soon do the teams arrive, just out of interest?
Well, the Sharks arrived last night, 10 to 12, so they're here for the week.
And are they out at Clearwater, or where are they?
They're out at Clearwater.
Yeah,
yes.
They like it there, don't they?
They do.
So when would they get to the ground? A couple of hours before?
Yeah, a couple of hours before. Yeah.
Now, this is a 7:35 kickoff, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, right. So we're back to night rugby. But,
indeed,
tell you what, if it had been last Saturday, would have been another gorgeous night here, wouldn't it? It was the weekend seems to be okay just at the moment. Joining me also, we're talking about Press Cup today. That's what we want to chat about. Both these boys, I think, have been involved since the inception of it in the year 2000. And it's been quite interesting. We're back doing Press Cup. The number of people said on the sideline, how long has this been going for? And I had to rack my brain, so it's 14 years. Mike Johnson, you've been at the helm of St Andrews College First 15 for 14 years, mate.
Yeah, I have, Pete. Yeah, I'm probably one of the dying breed that's lasted that long. So
does no one else want you?
No one else wants to do it.
So some good boys come through in that time?
Oh, it's been some outstanding boys. I think that's the reflection of the Crusaders over the years. You know, you look at the team at the moment, you've got Tim Perry, Owen Franks, you've got Andy Ellis, Tom Taylor, Ryan Crotty, guys of that calibre now playing Press Cup, and that's been right through since the inception of the Press Cup.
Even through to a boy getting the New Zealand under-20 nod in his second year, a guy like Richie Meyer.
Yeah, it was outstanding.
Amazing.
From us, it's a great achievement.
Tim, at its inception, you were there at the time, it was pretty groundbreaking stuff, wasn't it, that the Crusader region would set up a secondary school competition?
Yeah, well, it was really, Pete. I think we talked earlier, it was about the only franchise that actually set up their own first competition. It was principally around the level of competition that we had for the first 15s here in Christchurch, and we were, there was a handful of teams playing each other multiple times, and we wanted to improve the level of competition. And we felt that there were some opportunities by embracing the franchise concept, and that sort of led on to our thinking in terms of the ability to develop talent within our own franchise, and have a sense of belonging in there. And clearly some good competitive rugby.
And you look at some of the teams, they would never have dreamt that have got that sort of exposure, which is great, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, and we've got obviously some new entrants into the competition over the last few years, Lincoln High School.
It's been tweaked a bit. What would be the major changes?
I suppose the number of teams would be the key one.
What did you start with?
Oh, we started with 10 teams, wasn't it, mate?
Yeah.
So 10 teams. We had the West Coast and Buller in there as a combined team. They just struggled to really maintain that level of rugby. So
we were doing it at that stage, and I remember talking to the West Coast guys, and they just said the logistics of getting them to training, and yet they still wanted to stay in because a lot of their boys, of course, came over to university here or to Lincoln or to Polytech, and if they'd been spotted, it gave them a bit of a heads up when they wanted to join a club over here. So it did serve its purpose, but logistically it was just too tough. You go now to Timaru, you go to Nelson as well, and those sides have really developed, haven't they, mostly?
They have, actually, and you look at sides like Waimea, for instance, that came in and have just gradually built as they've been part of the competition.
In a tough area where Nelson College really is the mainstay, isn't it? And you've got to compete with them. They had a good win first up this year against St Thomas's. They were chuffed. They really were. It was great for them.
It was a good one. So it's great. Those teams love playing the big teams as well. They love playing the St Bees and Boys Highs and Nelson College. They get a buzz out of that, and it's good for their rugby as well.
Yeah, Mike. Before we go to the break, the good thing is that your traditional games have still remained, haven't they? Which is good. They haven't been diluted. They're still very important. Your core schools that you want to play.
Oh, they are, Pete. For us playing, Christ College is our big game, but now you're only playing them once during the season, and so that becomes a massive match. So, and that's great for all the Christchurch schools. This is what this competition has really done.
And still be able to cut your teeth against the Nelson Colleges of this world. Your Timaru High, Boys High, which you used to play anyway, didn't you?
Yeah.
But the growth of Roncalli, for argument's sake, you get a chance, a bit of variation, isn't it, for the players?
Oh, it's great. You can see the profile that rugby brings to these schools and what it's doing, and everyone has their ups and downs and over the 4-year period, but likes of Rangiora, Burnside, Lincoln, and they're all going to become stronger and stronger because the population growth's moving out to those areas.
And they could trip you up, couldn't they?
They could very well.
Just one point before we go to the break, though, it just intrigues me, but is there still the mana around schools to be in the first 15?
Oh, massive.
It is?
It's huge.
Really? So is it the winter equivalent of rowing?
Definitely.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
It means a lot, and just that what rugby does to a school community. If your first 15 is doing well, the school's doing well.
Even though you're co-ed?
Even though we're co-ed.
Had to get the dig in there, Tim. I'm sorry. Okay, when we come back, we'll continue exploring the Press Cup. It's now 14 years old, and so much good has come out of it. We'll be back in a moment talking to these fine men. Welcome back. We're discussing Press Cup. We're talking about 2014, but we've gone back to the year 2000 when it first started. Someone who was there and started with it is Mike Johnson. He's still there, which is great. Mike, a lot's made of goal setting now. Do you say to your guys, hey, you have a good season and you could go where? Does that come up?
It comes up, Pete. The team brings up their own goals for the season.
Yep.
The dream is to win Press Cup, and that's the ultimate. From our perspective, we've been in the top 4 since I've been involved 4 times. So, you've got to have the depth in your teams to really nail it. Yeah. And we probably struggle a wee bit from our perspective.
Which is probably fine on the opening day. Yeah. Come to the sharp end.
It is, because it's a demanding competition. It's like the Crusaders.
Yeah.
You get injuries to key players, and you've got to, sometimes you've got to, work your players around to fit in that position. Yeah.
But do they talk in general? Do the players themselves sort of talk amongst themselves about, hey, they'd like, to go to where or what to do or something when they leave college?
Oh, it's great. There's lots of doors open. The
right. Talk us through some. Yeah.
Well, the Crusaders franchise, they're picking some of the junior academy boys, and they're down there looking at the guys playing on Saturdays. So they identify some guys. So they get some specialised training from.
So they have an involvement with them when they're pupils.
They do, yeah.
Oh, what sort of?
Well, it's mainly sort of it's more around skill development stuff, right, and strength and conditioning. So they don't take them away from the first 15 framework. That they just help their progression. So
right,
they'll give them programs to work on as far as fitness and strength conditioning goes.
Do they come to you to do that, or do they go to Rugby Park? What do the boys do?
The boys usually go to Rugby Park.
Right, okay.
And they usually work with Dave McKellen and he assesses them.
Right.
And
when they come back to you, do you see that development?
Oh, you do.
They pick up skills.
They pick up skills, and they bring some of that stuff they've learnt back to the boys in the squad and help develop them as well. So
it's one of the big changes I would have thought you've struck in that 14 years is there's not as many male teachers now as there used to be. Do you struggle to get coaches? Or do you go to parents to get coaches? How's that viewed?
It is difficult now. I think all schools are struggling.
Yep.
And we actually use the College of Education because a lot of these boys are coming through. The younger guys, they're in their last year and they've got to do a coaching segment.
Right.
And they come and finish their last season off, say, coaching our under-15 team or under-14s, and they get assessed around that. So it's great for their development as well.
You and I are pretty old school in lots of ways, and I always thought that the bond between your first 15 coach who was a teacher and working with them in rugby or any other sport and in a classroom seemed to just gel a little bit more. I think back to some people who influenced me and have obviously influenced you. Bit sad, isn't it, that there's just not that same group of males about now that are teaching?
Probably not. It is, I think, important to have that cohesion between the staff and the student, and you can see someone who might be going off in the wrong direction, so you can bring them back on the right path again.
The other thing is sporting options, Mike, at the school.
Yeah.
I think it was 33 or something at St Andrews now, for God's sake. I mean, where it used to be, dare I say it, you played winter, or you played rugby, and the asthmatics went to Harriers, and that was about your lot, wasn't it?
True, exactly, yeah.
But numbers-wise, of course, everyone says, St Andrews College now co-ed, that's why the rugby's now damn good. You've actually got more boys to pick from, haven't you?
We probably have.
Because the role's bigger.
The role is bigger, but we probably are. Since I've been there, we've sustained probably the same level of players playing. So, we've 2 under-14 teams, 2 under-15, and it goes to under-16.
So it's still something that the guys want to do.
Oh, definitely it is, yes.
Because that's one of your concerns, isn't it, Tim, you do very well at underage. Every club's very strong, aren't they?
That's right.
They have high expectations when they get to secondary school. A lot of them, they don't make the first 15, give it away. Then they leave school and they haven't got that same discipline to have to go. So it's not just rugby, it's across the board in sport, isn't it?
That's
How do you
right.
address that?
Teenage drop-off across all codes is a really important issue, Pete, and one we sort of look at very seriously. I mean, clearly having good competitions is part of it. So the Press Cup, obviously, something for the young students who are coming into schools to aspire to is really important. Keeping that link between the club and the school, I think, is equally important. So that when the players do leave, that they've got they naturally gravitate back to their club. And looking at the factors that are motivating for kids to be involved in rugby and young men and women. One of the changes we made last year was to bring in the half game rule, which was quite controversial, but it came through from some pretty overwhelming research from New Zealand Rugby.
My son who coaches down to 14s doesn't think it's a good rule at all, so there you go. Because he never knows when to start them or when to finish them. If you're not sure what we're talking about, is that if you have a squad at what age down?
Well, from below first 15.
Below that,
first
yeah.
15 is out.
If you've got a squad of 22 or whatever, they have to have game time, the 22. That's basically
That's
what
right.
they're
They've
trying
got
to
a
achieve.
minimum half a game.
Yeah, okay.
So,
bit of a chess game you play as a coach, I would have thought, but that's
Indeed,
okay.
indeed.
You can handle it. But moving on from that, the Crusaders must be a help to you. I mean, they're getting massive exposure. They're involved for, 20-something weeks, I suppose, and some heroes develop. And kids respond to heroes, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and I think that Crusaders brand is very strong, and it's great to have this competition with the Crusaders brand to it. And I know that the coaches are very keen to sort of develop that relationship with the schools and those players involved. They've already brought a group of players from across the region together. So you had Toddy and Dave and Aaron out there coaching with them.
They are remarkably agreeable to help out, aren't they? As a squad, the whole squad.
Indeed.
Yeah, nothing. I know it must be a pain in the butt half the time, but they willingly do it, which is really, really good, isn't it? You built that into the culture.
Well, that's right, and they know it's important if we want to bring these young men through, and we want them to be loyal to the Crusaders, and clearly we want to ensure keeping those guys out in front.
Mike, how much help do you get if you want some specialised coaching for your front row club or whatever? Do you have help from somebody?
Oh, definitely. We're very lucky. Well, from my point of view, we've got a great relationship with the Canterbury Rugby Union, and there's lots of resources out there, huge amount. And you've only got to ask someone, and they're only too happy to come down and help out. So
Yeah.
it's great, and a lot of us, we're getting the cutting edge of what the Crusaders are doing. So the boys are doing exactly the same as what the Crusaders are doing.
Right, yeah.
And we've had Aussie McLean, because he's got a couple of
Well,
boys
he's a
at school.
parent, yeah.
He's a parent, so but he comes in and offers his help, and he's been outstanding.
Right. I know you've had Mike Cron from
Mike
time
Cron
to
has
time.
been in a couple of times.
Yeah.
So.
What's the buzz when these people turn up? I mean, amongst the team, they must love it, don't they?
Oh, they do. It's great, and the kids, you got the attention span is a lot longer.
Longer than you would.
and you get real benefit out of
It
it.
freshens it too, doesn't it?
Oh,
Which
it
is
does,
good. No,
it
it's to
does.
be applauded, guys. All right, when we come back, well, we're going to find out if Gordy's golf's improved, and then we'll finish up with these guys. So back for the last time shortly. Disappointment for me, of course, this morning I was up and ready and organised to watch the Players' Championship, the final round. Thunder intervened, and so it's got to be played the final round, half of it tomorrow, which might give our man Gordy time just to pick his game up. Let's have a look if he's improved at all.
Well, that was horrible. Thankfully, though, I've got Andy here with me. We've moved from the range. We've done some driving. We've done some fairway woods. Today, you're going to teach me how to do some chipping.
That's right. As we've seen, we don't want any more of that shot that we've just played, do we,
No,
Jordan?
none of that.
So basically, the reason why you've got a little bit of inconsistency there in how you're sort of striking your chip shot,
Right.
okay, there's a lot of it's to do with the setup, but also just how you're setting your weight when you're striking the ball, okay? So if you just stand this side of me, you'll just see properly, okay? So when you're set up, you've got a little bit of fold in this left arm,
Yep.
okay, which is going to sort of mean there's some variables in where your bottom of your arc, so the bottom of where the club will meet the ground is going to happen. On that one, we can see there that you tended to flick the right hand at it. You've got that sort of thin shot through the past the hole there. So what I'm going to get you to do is to when you set up, try and straighten this left arm entirely. Okay, that'll make sure that the arc. The bottom of the arc is in the same place each time, allows you to make that consistent strike. Okay. In addition to that, okay, we saw a little bit too much lateral movement. Okay, so back onto your right foot and through onto your left foot.
Yep.
When you're chipping, best thing to do is to just set about 70% of the weight on the front foot and just keep it there. So you're keeping that left arm nice and straight, weight forward on the front side, and just let the arms swing back and through at a nice constant speed, okay? Back and through, keeping that left arm nice and straight. So you see this triangle that I've created with my arms? You're just maintaining that triangle back and through the ball, okay? And if you keep your weight nice and forward, okay? All right.
Perfect.
You
All
just
right.
chip it closer to the hole.
Now let's see if I can recreate
All right.
that. So left arm straight.
Left arm
Yep.
straight, yep. Get the feet a little bit closer together as well.
Yep.
All right, and get the weight about 70% onto your left side. So you feel
Okay.
like your hands, okay,
Yep.
and weight are forward of the golf ball. Okay, so this triangle you're creating, you're just trying to maintain that back and through, keeping
Yep.
the hands forward of the strike and keeping that weight onto that
Okay.
front foot. Okay.
Cool.
Okay, a little
Bit
hard, but better technique. Keeping that left arm nice and straight, weight forward onto that left foot. Much better. Inside me.
Oh, well, there's a wee tip on how you can improve your pitching around the green. All right, Andy, today we're concentrating on shoes you've got out here in the shop.
Yes, well, we've got, as you know, this time of year, people, try their shoes on. First time they've been playing in the wet for a while, they might realise that their shoes are leaking a little bit.
Yep.
And we've got this deal on this week with the Stubert shoe, again, a shoe out of the UK. Okay, these are retailing in at normally $229. We're actually doing it $99.
$99. That is a bargain.
Yeah, so we've got full size run, 3 different colours, a black and white, a white and an all black shoe. So yeah, it's just a matter of coming in, popping them on and seeing how comfortable they are.
Right, make sure you get that deal out here at Ferrymead Golf.
Thanks, Joan, very much for the phone call, which has come in while that was on. And she could tell me that Keimer won it in the end, won it by 1 shot with Jim Furyk coming through second, but it was nail-biting stuff on the island green at the 17th. Thanks very much, Joan, for spoiling my night now because I'd recorded it, so now not much point in watching it. But that's fine. Thanks for the feedback. Righto, guys, we're into it now. We're talking the Press Cup and just what it means. The exposure that guys get Tim, does that put at risk being able to retain some of them? I mean, there must be other franchises that are proactive in trying to recruit.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, Pete. Franchises or and provincial unions are scouting all around New Zealand to look for up and coming talent. So clearly they'll be looking through your CTV footage, and no doubt some of the DVDs that get ordered head to other franchises.
I'm sure. Yeah.
There's a lot of talent spotting at this age. Once upon a time was post school, but now they're delving right into those school age kids.
Really? Yeah.
Spotting talent.
Are you aware of it, Mike?
Oh, definitely. You can see it, Pete. Yes, it is. You even got agents coming down and talking to some of these kids.
Yeah?
Especially in their last year at school.
Who's the main offenders? Waikato?
Oh, I'm not going to say too much. But once you get to top four, if a school goes to top four to the nationals and to the co-ed, there's lots of scouts around looking.
Good Lord. Yeah. With some pretty sweet deals?
Oh, I think there is. There's been one or two boys we've had at school who've been approached.
Right. So. I think a lot of the time they seem to revolve around tertiary education as well. I don't think it's all money. I think it's an opportunity to scholarships and that sort of thing. Is that fair?
Yeah, there's a bit of that goes on, Pete, but I'd say more and more there are contracts being put in front of these players that make it pretty lucrative for them to move on.
Does it work the other way?
Hand on heart. We do bring players into Canterbury, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
We have the Lincoln Scholarship Program, but obviously players are coming from out of the region for that. So there's a bit of horse trading goes on around the place.
Because you're tired with the brush really you've got to think about, don't you? These guys, it's great to have them in an academy or whatever, but they still have to pursue their own academia and things like that, don't they? I mean, rugby won't last forever.
No, that's right. And that's certainly something we're all conscious of.
So who guides that from the union's point of view now?
Oh, Mark Ramby's in the chair in terms of ensuring that these players are getting development in other areas for life after playing. Yeah. So it's a really important aspect of professional rugby these days.
Do you have to stress that, particularly those in their last year or something, in their last year to play for the first 15, Mike, that school still goes on?
Oh, it does, Pete. It's still a big component, and some of the disciplines around playing first 15 come back to academic disciplines as well. Right. So it is a huge part of the culture of probably any school.
What amazes me when I look at even the Sandridge boys, for because it's probably closer to me, is how much they pack into 7 days. I mean, they're not just first 15 rugby players. They're often prefects or head boy or girl or whatever. And they're in the drama, they're in the art, they're in the. They have a very, very busy schedule, don't they?
Oh, it's huge. The opportunities to learn life skills now are huge, and it's not, as you say, it's not just rugby; it's academic.
But part of that is the balancing act, I presume, is it?
It is definitely, and that's a really important part of it. The boys making, because for us, we train 3 days a week. We've got a head boy, the captain this year, who's head boy, so he's got a lot of balancing acts to do.
Absolutely.
With all his commitments around being head boy. So.
A lot of he's played, hasn't he? Yeah. They still, though, get excited about the key games, do they?
Oh, it's huge. It's a real buzz. It's just an absolute, Thursday, Friday around school, and it's a real buzz. And it gets promoted very well as well in assemblies. So.
Yeah. And you're aware of it. I mean, do you notice crowds increasing?
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. There's a great following for this, for the Press Cup and First 15 Rugby, Pete.
Yeah.
You'll have seen it, obviously.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So we're probably attracting greater crowds than we are, Division 1 club rugby. So
yeah, you can't blame them. Well, it's a full schedule. There's how many teams? Got 14 teams now, we? Yeah, so everyone on CTV and the Press Cup, every school gets a turn, so don't feel as though you're missing out. And just to let you know that on the 27th of this month, we will be covering the annual school game, which is, I think, one of the oldest games, I think, in New Zealand rugby. And we'll be covering that from Upper Christ College against Christchurch Boys High School on the Tuesday, and there will be a full play for you on the Wednesday night. But keep your guides and we'll let you know. Thanks, guys, for coming in. We look forward to an exciting season. It started pretty well already. No one you could take lightly, I wouldn't think, out of the results we've had come through so far. So there we are. Okay. We'll be back next week with another Red and Black Sport, but keep an eye on Press Cup. Sunday, 2 showings, and Thursday night at 7.